I think I'm the only one member of this House that was directly touched by the tragedy at the Gosnell Clinic. In the life of my 22-year-old cousin, Semika Shaw. She had just, she had finished school. She liked to hang out and have a good time with her cousins. They knew everything there was to know about Semika. You could find out from the other cousins that were around her. So she was just a very alive, very friendly, very gregarious, fun individual. She was working, she was looking to move out. She really wanted to be on her own, stand on her own 2 feet. I think the cousins were thinking about getting a place together, pooling their resources. It was their time to strike out and be an adult, at that time in their lives. I don't remember where I was, but I remember getting the phone call. I remember that it was late, and they said that Semika was dead, and they were crying. I got the call from one of the cousins, and it was hard to understand what was going on the phone, and I just... I was kind of suspended in disbelief because she was so young. And, and I didn't even think she was as old as 22. In my mind's eye, you see somebody grow up, it's like, she's a baby. What do you mean she's gone? And so I went over to the house, and that's when I, started to hear their description of her last night on Earth, and I was just devastated. She was bleeding profusely. She was writhing on the floor. She was in so much pain, and they were trying to get her to go to the hospital. They didn't know what to do. They were told that they could not call back to the clinic if it was a problem. Don't call the clinic if it was a problem. So they were afraid to call the clinic, and then they tried to call and couldn't get anybody, and she literally was bleeding and writhing in pain on the floor, just rolling and screaming, until finally her mother came home, and they took her to the hospital, and not long after that she was gone. They told me that part of the placenta was left in the womb, and that they had to take her back because she was in pain immediately to get more of it removed. The official story is that she died from a perforated uterus and sepsis. So she was literally bleeding, and the infection was just festering inside of her body from the placenta, and now we know the place was filthy. And so all of this was going on, and that was how she died. I've eulogized most of my family members that have passed since I've been a minister, and I've eulogized other people. I have not been able to eulogize anyone since that service. Her cousins, they just were screaming her name, and we called her Mika, and they just kept saying, Mika, 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 you can't be gone, open your eyes, and they were trying to pick her up, and I had to go over to the casket to stop them from trying to resurrect her in whatever way they thought they were going to do that, and they just couldn't deal with the fact that she was gone, and I had to try to bring the service back to order, and get them through that moment, and even through the burial. They didn't go because they just couldn't, and I didn't want them to go. I didn't know what they were going to do at that point. I didn't know if they would even try to go into the grave to get her out. They just could not reconcile themselves to the fact that she was gone. And it was just the most horrible thing, one of the most horrible things that I experienced. I know her mother, Linda, tried to get some remedy. She did complain, and she did file a complaint, and tried to have it remedied. I know she got a lawyer and filed a complaint, was trying to file a civil complaint, but you had to have the health department or some authority say that there was, some type of wrongful death or what the cause of death was. And I think they were just blown off.
Why do you think that her mom was blown off?
Well, I think that institutional denial is something that we're just beginning to scratch the surface on, the psychology of institutional denial at Penn State or any other institution. When you say, well, this can't really be happening. Well, it's probably just a fluke, or it's a mistake, or it's an isolated incident. And there isn't the system in place where you see all the many instances where this is taking place come together in one place. And so, people that protect the institutions continue to protect the institution.